Pluto retrograde in Aquarius from May to October. Let me give you the details first, and we're going to go into what this really means house by house, because where it lands in your natal chart is going to create a tremendous transformation. It's something that may feel at first scary to consider, to burn down to the ground, because that's the kind of energy we're working with. But then it's going to feel exhilarating. And I'm just smiling at this because I've been feeling this whole week and the thing has shifted for me. Now today, when I'm recording this video, is the day before the retrograde. So tomorrow, when you're going to be watching this video on, the retrograde is already in motion. One thing I want to leave clear, retrogrades happen all the time. Pluto retrogrades annually. So every year, there's a period in which Pluto asks you to clean up your act. I'm Araceli's Paz. I'm a coach and astrologer. So this is really interesting for me because a lot of the work that I do as a coach is really helping people clean up a bunch of stuff in their subconscious mind, in their body, in their nervous system, in the way that they're operating when they're trying to reach a goal, effect a transformation, or complete a project, make a shift. They're in a transition. Maybe you're shifting out of careers or maybe thinking about shifting out of careers. This transit is perfect for that. This is the work. This is what it's all about. So let's go into it. This starts May 6th. Okay, at the time you're seeing it, if you're seeing it on the day that I put this video up in YouTube, that's the first day of the transit, May 6th, and it'll last 5 months. So we have a 5 month window of cleaning the slate, of going back to basics, of burning the bridge that wasn't working on what you don't want in your life anymore. This is deep, 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 deep transformation energy. 5 months until I have October 16th as the final date of it. And this is Pluto in Aquarius going from 5 degrees Aquarius to 3 degrees Aquarius. So if you really want to look in your chart as to where this falls, which is the purpose of this video, you want to look at where 5 degrees to 4 degrees to 3 degrees, which is where the retrograde is going to end in October. And then it's going to move back 3, 4, 5, and continue on forward. Where is that? Because if you just go by, my fourth house is actually Aquarius, it must be there. But what if your fourth house starts at 15 degrees Aquarius? No, this is going to fall in your third house. And it's a totally different area of your life that is going to be transformed. And it's the area that you really, really want to focus on. Because here's the thing, these transits, astrological transits they don't rule you, they don't control you. They offer you an opportunity for you to really leverage so that you can make some kind of move or take an opportunity and really, really fully take advantage of it, leverage the thing so that you can evolve, so that you can make your dreams come true, so that you can live the life that your soul decided to live. That's the point of this. So if you have been feeling out of sorts in certain areas of your life, freaking out, some things have been taken away from you, maybe a job, maybe a project. Maybe you're freaking out because it's the era of AI and yet another year in which AI becomes even more of a thing. And is my job in danger or not? And, what are my kids going to do later on? Like this is, going to college even valid anymore for them? What is this world going to turn into? We're in big transformative times, times of transition, huge, huge astrologically and, metaphysically, many other areas of that have opinions on energy and on where we go with the world have been saying the same thing. So this starts today. You have this opportunity to burn down whatever it is that isn't working for you anymore. And I'm going to tell you house by house, when you check on your chart, where this is likely to be felt. Okay. So let's go with first house. Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, starting today until the 16th of October of this year in the first house. What's going to get affected, because the first house is the house of the self, is a deep transformation as to how you define who you are. This is the house of who am I, okay? Naturally ruled by Aries in the zodiac according to modern astrology, in the natural zodiac. And so just really would recommend journaling, would recommend discussing, would recommend meditating, would recommend visualizing all the tools that you have available to you as to how do I think about myself? This is not just your self as your personality, your definition of who you are, but also your self-image. Okay. And this is a two-parter in terms of image. Self-image is how I see myself. Okay. So it's maybe I see myself as an entrepreneur, maybe I see myself as an astrologer, maybe I see myself as a coach, maybe I see myself as a daughter, as a sister, as a wife, as a woman, a man. How do I see myself? What are these roles, these identities that are strong in my mind about who I am? And then the other component is my physical appearance. Who I am in my physical appearance, is that something that needs to go through a transformation? Is something being called as to what I want to portray in my physical reality out to the world? What I want people to see. Okay. You get to evaluate that. You're going to get to see what are these definitions for you. What is it that you need to redefine in terms of who you are and who you want to become, who you want to be, how you want to dress, how you want to come off to people. I remember someone saying to me one time, I didn't really like the way that I laughed, so I worked to change that. And I thought that that was fascinating because, sure, Pluto in Aquarius wants you to be your most authentic. But maybe along the lines of your life, you thought that somebody you saw on TV had I don't know, their hair up. And you're like, well, it really looks very elegant when people have their hair up. So that's what I should do. Or somebody told you in your life, listen, you're someone to whom hair up does not look good. And so then you never put your hair up again. So in this period of reevaluation, revisiting, because that's what retrogrades are for, you revisit, you reevaluate, you reconsider, you go back over those things in this area of your life, and you start to check and you start to see, does this still work for me? Is something not working anymore and I need to burn it down? Because that's what you're going to need to do. If something isn't working for you in terms of your identity, the identities that you have accumulated in your mind, your subconscious mind about yourself, how you describe yourself and who you are, and how you express that physically, then you're going to need to make a shift. That's what Pluto retrograde in Aquarius asks you for. And in Aquarius, it asks you to really go back to the more core thing. So maybe you are shifting into something else, but that something else is going to bring you back closer, and not back in time, but closer to who you truly are. Okay? That is Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, first house. Second house, this is the house of money. It's not just net worth, it's also self-worth, because to some degree those are connected. Because if you don't value yourself and you don't value your services, you don't value your talents, your gifts, your knowledge, your experience, and what you bring to the table, then probably very difficult for other people to value it. Okay. So if you have Pluto 5 degrees, 5 to 4 to 3 degrees throughout these months, retrograding in Aquarius in your second house, you need to look at your finances. You need to look at, how am I managing my money? How much am I earning? Am I earning enough? Am I spending more money than I'm earning? Am I making the right moves with my money? You can look at savings, you can look at spending, you can look at generating, right? How much money, earning, all of that, the feeling of how secure you feel in your finances. Are you managing them correctly? Is this something that you know how to do? Do you need to skill up? Do you need to reconsider certain expenses and say, I don't really need to be paying for 4 different streamers. I don't really need to be paying for A, B, or C service from a certain service provider that was working for my business before, but at the stage that my business is, it doesn't work anymore. Is the business that I have the right business for me? And is this something that is generating me the money that I want to generate in the way that I want to work and such? That also applies here. So all the things that are connected and related to money, and the money you have, the money you earn, the money you spend, the money you save, all of that is going to be in play for transformation if this is in your second house. Okay. And maybe you want to change. Maybe you want to change how you make money. Maybe this is the one, if this one's activated, maybe this is the one where you say, okay, well, it might not be the career that's more 10th house that I'm going to be shifting or the career that I really want, but I really don't like the amount of money that I'm making or how I'm making money. That is what you're going to have to ask yourself deep down in meditation, journaling, or whatever is your method. You can always reach out to me. We can do it in a coaching session. We can look at this in your chart. Of course, all the links are below in the description to book your sessions. But you're going to have to look at money related topics, and you're going to have to reevaluate. And a lot of the times when there are shifts here, especially Pluto that really goes down deep, it's going to ask you to say, okay, if I have created an identity that's coming from the first house based on how much I make and how much I spend on people and how generous I am, quote unquote, because that's a little tricky. Are you really being generous, or are you trying to buy affection? Are you trying to make yourself feel better through spending on other people? Do you not know how to say no when it comes to people's requests for your resources? All of that stuff is going to get revisited. And I urge you to get really sincere, very, very authentic. This is the Aquarian component. Very authentic as to, well, if I'm treating everybody, is it really because it's from a generous heart, or is it because I'm trying to prove a point or show off to somebody, or it's my automatic default mode and people just know they can take advantage of me, and it's my inability to say no and set boundaries. There's a self-esteem, self-value component to this review in the second house. Okay? So check all of that. Make a list of all your expenses for your business, for your personal, for your entertainment, all the stuff. See what's still valid, see what still you want to keep, what is still authentic, what still works for you. How do you like to manage your money? How do you like to feel when it comes to your money? What makes you feel secure? What makes you feel safe? Like bases are covered. Maybe you're not saving enough. Maybe you need to redistribute your money, your earnings, into more savings and less spending. You have to figure it out. But this is what's going to be asked of you. And this is something that I gotta say, in all of the houses, because Pluto does this once a year for five months or so, this is not something that you are going to be feeling the way that Uranus and Gemini came in, like as a bam, shock. This is where we need to make the change. No, this is a simmering. This is something you've been feeling. You've been thinking about. It's been in the back in your subconscious mind, very Pluto, right? It's like in your subconscious mind. It's been kind of nagging at you a little bit, and you never maybe got around to it. Well, now, not only are you maybe being pushed toward it, let's say a job went away or something like that, but you really have the opportunity to step from stress into the exhilaration of how do I just clean this up? When you clean up your finances, something magical happens. More money starts coming in. It shows up out of nowhere. It's not nowhere. It's that you're cleaning up the energy fields when it comes to some blockages or leakages that you've been having. And when you do that cleanup, the energy manifests. The energy just really is like, all right, we're going to focus and we're going to show up. So you get to do that in the area of money, in the area of value, self-esteem, self-value, all of that. Okay. And your feeling and your idea of what is financial security for you. Pluto in Aquarius retrograde in the third house. This is the house of self-expression via communication, verbal communication. And it's also the house of the mind. Okay, this is the Gemini house. When we think, our thinking process, our ability to take what I'm thinking and put it into words. So if you're having Pluto retrograding in Aquarius in your third house, it's also traditionally the house of siblings. So it's going to be reevaluating, asking you to reevaluate your relationships with your siblings. Are they okay? Are you as close as you could be? Is there something that needs to get resolved? Was there some period in your life before? Again, remember, this is a retrograde, so you get to review, revisit, reevaluate, re. That's a retrograde theme, okay? Was there ever a time in your life in which the relationship was better? Were there some pending things that you all need to talk about? Is there a podcast to launch between all of you? All of these topics that have to do with communications, that have to do with siblings, brothers, sisters, people you consider brother or sister, and your mind. How am I thinking about things? And is that way of thinking working for me? Is that allowing me to manifest the things that I want to manifest, or is that making things harder for me, the way that I think about them? Let me give you an example. And I was working with someone this morning on this. It's like, well, I I lost a part of my earnings because this component of it went away. This person's a business owner. Okay, well, how are we thinking about it? Well, I didn't really want that gig anyway. I said, well, the universe is asking, is answering that soul request that you didn't formally make, but your feelings certainly made it. And we all know that the language of the universe is not verbal, it's feelings, it's frequency. And so this person, it took a moment to understand and connect the dots, but totally got it. And the minute that this person got it, something came in. In fact, when we were actually on the call, it's like this opportunity for this particular thing has come about. Well, if you weren't feeling happy with this particular gig, why would you expect that the universe would say, keep going? The universe is going to be like, this person is disconnecting from this. I'm going to clear that out. This is what Pluto retrograde does. It's a perfect time for that. It's a perfect time to say, all right, we're cleaning up. This person's soul is no longer connected to this frequency. There's no longer a resonance. Get rid of it. Right? Like, what's that movie with, I'm such a movie, if you don't know me, I'm a movie fanatic. When I was a journalist back in another life, I used to cover film, was one of the things that I used to cover. I still to this day just love story, words, movie, all that stuff. Okay. And so what's the movie? See a Doctor and Get Rid of It? I think it was Steve Martin, the jerk. Classic. Okay. So it's like that. See the house that it falls in and get rid of it. Okay. And so this person, their mindset was, well, I know what I don't like. And that's the message that they were sending out to the universe. And if you don't clean that mind habit up, you're going to be continuously creating. This person's a manifester. You're going to be continuously creating the thing that you don't want because you didn't do the exercise that I call cross the bridge that I do with my coaching clients. If you're my coaching client, you know we've done this before, where you identify the thing that you don't want and then you cross the bridge to the thing that you do want. And it may not be absolutely clear yet, but you get to work on that thing. And this is the job right here, crossing this bridge. Because when you're in a panic or a scare or something because things have fallen apart, which is the job of Pluto, it's what Pluto does. It wants to destroy things so that then it can create better things. When that happens, it feels scary. It feels like panicky. It's stressy. And so most people stay there. They don't know how to get out of that state and go into a state that feels exciting, exhilarating, anticipatory, all of that stuff. But you have to do that job. That's the climb. We do that with crossing the bridge, shifting into things that are the opposite of what you have over here, and then really filling that so that you can then connect all of those things or all that content to the feeling. And then the feeling is going to bring about the field that has that opportunity for you. It's beautiful work. Beautiful work. It's what I do with my coaching clients. Okay. So this person, literally when I explained all this, in the middle of a call, got a text that said, hey, would you be interested in this gig? And that's how quickly things can happen. We're not in times of delay anymore. We're in times of you think it, the manifestation period is a lot shorter from thought to there it is. So whatever you're thinking, feeling, and activating through deed, you are going to be getting very quickly. Okay. So that's third house. Fourth house, third house. Check the mind, check the thoughts, see if you understand how this process of creation works, and eliminate anything that you don't want and focus on the thing that you do want. That's the transformation you get to have. Okay, fourth house, Pluto in Aquarius, retrograding in the fourth house. This is your childhood home. Okay, this is your home and family realm. So maybe in the house you've been feeling like redecorating inside. Maybe you've been feeling like a certain room needs a spruce up. Maybe you have been feeling that you need to have a family meeting with the whole family or with whoever you consider your family. Maybe that's your husband and your dog. I don't know. But so that you can maybe discuss some things, and some things need to shift in that regard, okay? Either how we comport, how we behave in our home, or what our home it consists of, what it looks like, what are the elements that are in there. And it's just also some of the things that you have carried with you from your parents, specifically your mom, because the fourth house is more mom, 10th house is more dad. But it's really from your childhood, piggybacking a little bit on the third house, because all of this is evolutionary. So you're going into what are some of these beliefs, maybe a little bit of wounding, maybe some stuff that I have created as a pattern from my childhood, and maybe it's no longer working for me. And maybe this is tied to a family member. Maybe every time that I encounter my mom or my dad, this part of me comes out, and I don't want that anymore. So maybe those are some of the things you get to evaluate. Things that came from your childhood. Great time to do internal family systems, constellations type of work. Okay, because this is fourth house type of work. This is going into the foundations that were built for you psychologically and emotionally, and maybe even physically, the way you eat. I remember, for example, one time interviewed back in the day when I was a journalist, I was doing film and all this. I interviewed Jessica Alba, and she's a fellow Hispanic, and talked about how, she learned to cook for herself really early because she noticed that the way that they were cooking at her house maybe wasn't, it was traditionally how we cook in Hispanic, food, and it was maybe very starchy or something. I don't quite remember. And so since she wanted to do, whatever field she wanted to go into, acting, that she wanted to cook a little bit maybe cleaner or healthier or something like that, so that she would really look the way she wanted to look on camera. And so you get to look at some of these things. Are these things that came with me from my family, from my lineage, that I learned that are still within me? Do I still get to carry them with me after this period of October 16th? Right? Do they go along with what I want to build for myself, or do I need to clean that up and burn that stuff and just really let it fertilize other things for me? Okay, because this is ashes work. This is Phoenix work with Pluto retrograde. So that's your fourth house. There's because this is a moon house, this is emotional work. Okay, so you may require a few tears. May remember that when we are overwhelmed, when we are stressed, when we are under a lot of pressure, it's good to cry, because tears are a percentage of the chemical composition of your tears is cortisol. You want to let that out. You don't want to build that in your belly. You don't want to build that in your system. You need to have a way to process your emotions. And if this is the house that Pluto retrograde in Aquarius falls into in your natal chart in the fourth house, then you get to, you know, make friends with allowing your emotions to purify, because Pluto is a purifier of things. And in retrograde, it wants you to go back and review things. And if you have something repressed or suppressed and you haven't cried it out, Pluto's going to make you cry it out. It's going to make you bring it out so that you no longer have it trapped in your body and it doesn't turn into a disease. Okay, this is a good thing. And this goes for men and women, both. Listen, cry it out. Okay, talk about it with mom. Feel into it. Have some of those healing conversations. Okay, Pluto in Aquarius, retrograding in the fifth house. Oh, this is the house of children, the house of creativity, the house of play, the house of joy. This is a sunny house because naturally ruled by the sun, Leo, and the sun rules Leo, and they're the natural position of the fifth house in the natural zodiac. Okay, so fifth house, we're going to look at maybe triggering and activating some of your creative projects. If you are a creative, this is where you're going to undergo your cleanup process. Are there books that you had halfway written and they're still gathering dust? Are there songs, paintings, projects that are artistic that are still there that maybe you need to revisit, reevaluate, and reconsider? Or do you get to finally say goodbye to them? Do you get to burn those to the ground? Are some of the ideas, some of these creative projects, things that you have always been like, yes, I'm writing that, or yes, I'm doing that thing. But deep in your heart, and this is Pluto, Pluto goes deep, deep inside of you at the core of who you are, you know that this is not the thing that you're going to be finishing. You know this is probably not the thing you want to be doing, and you want to redirect your creative energy elsewhere. This is that period for you. Review that stuff. Bring it out of the dust, out of the closet, out of that bin, wherever it's from, and decide, make a decision. I know decisions are costly, they cost you energy. Uh, Invest a little bit of that time and a little bit of that energy so that you can see if this is something that you actually want to move forward with or if it gets to just be deleted from the files. Okay. That's fifth house also rules, of course, children, the biggest creation of them all. So there may be some reconsidering, rearranging, reevaluating with how you deal with children. If these are your own children, of course, topics that are dealing with maybe schooling or how you teach them, because Leo is also a teacher in the zodiac. How you're teaching things. If you're a homeschooler, maybe looking at things and reevaluating how these kids get to be taught or how you teach them or how they learn. Things that have to do with changing how you see your children, changing how you interact with the children. Okay. And I think probably the last two topics would be your own self-expression in all types of expressions. Okay. So this is creative expression. This is maybe even dressing more colorful. I know that's first house as well, but like giving your ability to self-express a spruce up. So some things may need to be taken out, some things may need to come in with the goal of your creative expression being much more closer to who you truly are. Authenticity, first and foremost, with Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. Okay. And and I think the final thing I want to say about the fifth house is the component of joy. No, actually, no, that's the second final thing, second to last. Do an inventory of how happy you are with where you are in your life. Is the way that I'm living my life, is the work that I'm doing, is the way that I behave, the way that I think, the way that I express, is any of that bringing me the joy that I know that I can have in my life? The type of joy, the quantity of joy, the amount of joy that I know I can have in my life. If the answer is no, burn it to the ground. That is what Pluto in Aquarius retrograde recommends. It's not me, it's Pluto. Okay. And so look at that stuff. There's some things that are maybe not, some connections that are not going to bring you joy. And if they don't bring you joy, and joy is one of the highest frequencies, one of the highest levels of consciousness, if it doesn't bring you joy, then what is it doing? If it's dragging, 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 and there's no purpose and there's no tunnel, light at the end of the tunnel, then you get to reconsider if you keep it. And I would say probably don't. Okay. And be like a kiddo, playful, joyful. And the last thing in this house is the giving of love, because this is the house of love given. So where am I pouring my love? Is it these kiddos that need my love and that, that they're my children? So these are the souls that asked for me to provide and protect and pamper and do all the things that I get to do for them. Okay. Am I on point with all of that? Is my parenting on point? That's fourth house as well as fifth house. Okay. And yeah, that's it for the fifth house. Sixth house, Pluto retrograding in Aquarius in the sixth house. This is your house of health. So let's review what's going on with your health. Is there anything that I get to cut out food-wise, stress-wise, proper sleep-wise, daily routine? This is the house of the daily routine. Do I need to pick back up my daily routine? A client of mine this past weekend, she was like, I haven't really kept up with my routine, and maybe that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. We identified some of that. Yeah, your daily routine is going to give you security. That security is going to lower your cognitive and your nervous system load, and it's going to it's going to give you that, because it lowers that load for your system in general, it's going to provide you an extended amount of energy and enthusiasm for you to do the thing that you really want to do. Okay. So this is a house, the sixth house, because it's a Virgo house. It's a house of purification. This is a doctor house. This is a cleanup house. This is in your daily routine, we don't want any excess. You don't need to be doing anything extra that doesn't really do something to provide you energy, to provide you more time, to provide you, allow you to put your effort where it needs to be. Okay. When it comes to the things that you have to do daily. Okay. It also is a house of, if you have a job, you know, you're not a business owner, well, actually, both. It's the house of employer and employee. So these types of relations between employer and employee, who you are as an employer towards your employees, who you are as an employee with relationship to the routine, the job, the employer itself. Okay. Those types of things are also in there. Really, your physical habits as well, like your mind-body connection. You know, if you want to spruce up your fitness routine, if your fitness routine has some things, that's also first house, by the way, first house and sixth. But if your fitness routine is dragging and you're not really doing it, or it's stressing you out more than it's helping your health, burn it. Reevaluate, reconsider, revisit, all that, and find something that's more simple. This house loves simplicity. Loves simplicity. Virgo wants it to be like clean. Okay. Uh, make it simple, make it work so that you can keep the consistency of a daily routine. Anything complicated is not going to work. And this Pluto retrograde, because authenticity in Aquarius is something that has to do with just being yourself. Okay. Anything that is extra, it's going to be out, which I really like. I'm a big fan of minimalism, as you can see here, and just keeping things clean, what needs to be here. This beautiful, amazing thing here. Okay. Seventh house. Your seventh house is your house of partnership, not just as a husband or wife component or a husband or wife qualifier, but also your business associate, right? Your business partner. So if you're in a partnership in business, if you are married, if you're in a serious relationship heading towards something that has a legal component, such as a marriage certificate, that is this house. Okay, so if Pluto in Aquarius is retrograding in your seventh house, that's all the partnerships to take into consideration. And you're going to be looking at, because it's Pluto, and Pluto is not just transformation, intensity, uh, deep down stuff in the subconscious mind, but it's also um, power. It's your power point. You can either go power struggle or powerful. Okay. Disempowered or empowered. This, if you look at your Pluto in your natal chart, whether it's retrograde or it's in a sign that it likes, or it's in a house where it works really well, because there are certain houses and certain signs where planets feel better and they work better. And of course, any aspect, is it square to something? Is it a, quincunx to something? What is it? We look at what's going on with that planet, but it'll tell you whether you have access to that power, that personal power that just puts you forth. Okay. And so this will trigger evaluation or reevaluation of power dynamics in the relationships, be it your business partner or be it your home partner, love partner. So what is the power distribution here? Are we working as a team or are we manipulating each other? We get to burn that down. Manipulation doesn't work. We get to have some serious conversations about who does what, who's leading where. Um, how do we, as a team, become more empowered? What I'm doing is empowering you. What you're doing is empowering me. All those conversations, I think, get to happen for you in these next 5 months if this is where this falls. Okay. No power struggles. We don't want to be stuck in power struggles. We want to be empowering each other so that together we earn more, because the seventh house is like that. It's the first house where you're dealing with the outside world and you're stepping into roles of, okay, I'm consistently in an energetic dynamic with someone else. And that dynamic always gets to be a plus, doesn't get to be a drain on anybody. And if it's for business purposes, the business is the baby. So you don't get to also drain the baby. You have to, both people have to be working towards the baby, which is the business. Okay. So review all of that. Be very honest and very sincere with yourself before you come and have conversations or have demands or ask for some things. And understand the other person's going through the same evaluation of, maybe how we are doing this partner thing. And what a great opportunity to talk about things and see, all right, where does this partnership go from here on? Love that. Eighth house. Eighth house, now we're moving from the partnership into the intimacy. Okay, we're getting more serious. This is a house that involves not just intimacy, sex, but also death and taxes. Okay, and if you don't want to think of death as something that has legalities to it, it does. This is where your wills are, your inheritances are. So some of those things, because you've already passed the threshold of coming out into the world, and in the world you have legalities, you have government, you have other things that you don't deal with at the below the below area of the chart, okay, which is the more personal area of the chart. So in your seventh house, Pluto in Aquarius retrograde in the not seventh, in the eighth house. We're talking about the resources. If the second house, which is the opposite, was your personal resources, your money, your net worth, your self-worth, we're talking about the stuff you share with other people. So this is something, for example, if you are, I don't know, if you're the homemaker and the other person, your partner that you are in a relationship with, is the earner of the family, the provider of the family. Well, maybe in this transformative period, you guys get to reconsider those roles and get to see if that's working for you anymore or not, or maybe you get to take on some more responsibilities when it comes to the finances. Maybe there's an inheritance coming through, a trust fund, something like that. And you also get to look at this is a house that actually Pluto rules. So you get to look at in any part of your soul where you are craving and calling for and asking for transformation, deep, 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 deep transformation. Things that you are like shadow work. This is actually the season. I call this the season of shadow work, this Pluto retrograde. So anybody that wants to do shadow work, book a session, a single session coaching session, because we get to do shadow work to clean up anything that does no longer belong with whatever you want to carry forth for yourself. Okay. That's no longer feeling authentic. That isn't working. This is the season. If you have this in the eighth house, you're going to feel it even more, because shadow work is what's being super, super asked of you. And if you don't know how to do shadow work, it's best done with somebody else. Okay. You can also do it yourself, journaling, whatever, but the same thing, people say that they can coach themselves. If you're a trained coach, you're a real trained coach, and you've been trained in coaching methodology and other, various coaching modalities and as a mentor and all these different things, you understand that that's not the case, because there's something that happens very similar to the co-regulation, right? Where human beings are built to co-regulate. That if I'm stressed out and then I go hang out with you and you're regulated, that you will help regulate my own stressed out system. It's a beautiful thing because we're all connected, because we have mirror neurons, okay? Coaching allows you to sit with someone and have them ask you the questions to bring out the answers that are already in you. Instead of having people go and tell you, this is what you need to do, this is who you are, this is the thing, this is whatever, the coaching is, okay, how do what do you really want? Where are we really going with this? How would you like to make this happen? What does this actually look like for you? And it's so unique to everybody. This is the beautiful thing about pairing up astrology with coaching, because the astrology gives us some tendencies, hints, strengths, opportunities, and things like that. And the coaching carries that out beautifully to really live the life according to that soul design. Okay. So your eighth house, you're going to be purging stuff. You're going to be like cleaning up your subconscious mind. You're going to be doing a ton of shadow work, a ton of maybe journaling. And it's just like a deep, deep purge. Okay. Besides looking at financial stuff, inheritance stuff that you share with somebody else. Okay. Ninth house. Ninth house, Pluto in Aquarius retrograding in the ninth house is a house of wisdom, is a house of philosophy. It's the house of long distance travel. So maybe here is where if you wanted to take an extended trip to learn about a culture and revisit maybe the cultures of the past that are related to your ancestors, this is your chance. Okay. It's also it's the house that believes, this is according to modern astrology, believes live in, because by this time, by the time that we have moved into the ninth house, we have already gathered data, which is a Gemini thing. We have processed that data and analyzed it, which is a Virgo thing, okay, and turned it into information, maybe knowledge. And then you've got Sagittarius. These are all the mutable signs. Okay, this is the evolution of information. And then by the time you get to this Sagittarius house, ninth house, you've got experience along with it. So you've got some knowledge, you've got opinions, you've got beliefs. Okay. So you get to also do some journaling, also maybe do some shadow work, but it's not like the deep eighth house shadow work. This is the shadow work. Let me really look at what I believe. Is this really true? Right? You start to apply is this really true? Is it true everywhere? All those things, all those processes, which I do with my clients as well in the coaching sessions. You apply all of that to see if the content you have within, not just information, that's third house, okay? The content you have within, which are beliefs, deep-rooted beliefs, wisdoms, opinions about things, need an overhaul, okay? So it's also because it's a religion house. If you are a religious person, you're going to look at your morals and ethics. You're going to look at dogma. Does that still work for me? Or do I get to continue the wheel of evolution into more spirituality and less dogma, less it has to be this way according to this. Walk in this door if this is your color. Walk in that door if that's your color. Okay? Review those things. Review those things. 10th house. Pluto in Aquarius retrograding in your 10th house. This is the top of the wheel. This is how you show up in the world, in society, your role in society. This is your public persona house. This is whereas first house is initial reaction when you meet somebody. This is your brand, baby. Who are you? Who are you to the world? Okay, which may be different who you are to the people you meet, your friends, etc. Who are you to the world? It's fantastic if those two connect and are one and the same. Doesn't happen very often. But your 10th house is also career, it's your reputation, it's profession. Sixth house is job, employment. 10th house is career, reputation, profession, the thing that you're already so good at that maybe you get famous for or known for. You're the renowned so and so. Okay. So if you are reevaluating your career, if you want to go in a different direction, if you feel like whatever you're doing is not working for you at this time, this is the perfect time. And let me tell you, because Pluto moves so slowly, because it's an outermost planet, and it's been downgraded, but still works. And it's only going to move 5 degrees to 4 degrees to 3 degrees. So it's going to move, 2 degrees, okay, and then back and then continue its thing. And it does this every single year. There's a high likelihood that depending on where your houses start, let's say your 10th house starts at 2 degrees, okay? Pluto's going to be there for a while, maybe 8 years or something, maybe, something like that. And so maybe this is something that you have already felt because maybe, Pluto is actually in the middle of your house and you've been feeling this since, I don't know, all the retrogrades you had with Pluto in Capricorn in the past years, and you've been feeling it there. And so maybe you've been thinking of making a career change, maybe even thinking of doing maybe that same career that you have, but in a different place, in a different company, in a different way. Some people are like, well, now I work remote, now I don't. I really liked working remote and my company doesn't allow that anymore. I like what I'm doing, but I need to find a different company to do it for because I want to do it remote. That's what works for me. We're all different. So you get to reevaluate all that. If you're considering a career transition, book a session with me. That's probably one of the things that I help people with the most. Okay. To really dig deep into what you want, to really understand where you want to go to from where you are, point A to point B, which is where you want to go, and all the steps and the actual process that it takes to get you there. And so you don't have to do it alone either. Okay, that's what my coaching programs are fantastic for. So that's your 10th house. It's there's going to be some sort of burning of something in the career. There's going to be a shift that is, again, something you've probably already been feeling and probably going to take, it's time to make some of the shifts, but you get to dig deep into what is it really that I want? Like this person that, was coaching this morning where it's like, well, this gig went away, but, and I don't have that money anymore. But deep down inside, Pluto words, Scorpio words, deep down inside, and Pluto rules Scorpio. That's why I said Scorpio. Deep down inside, I know that I wasn't happy there. I know that my soul was like dying during that gig. If this is how you feel about your career, this is 10th house stuff, it's time to change it. It's time to get really sincere with your soul. It's time to get really authentic with who you are. We tend to say you have a lot of time left. You absolutely do have time left, and it's never too late. But why would you want to waste more time? You don't. You want to do the thing that you came here to do. Your chart shows you that. Book a session with me. We'll look at that, what that is. If you have no idea what that is, or if you have an inkling and you want a confirmation, that kind of clarity we can get in a chart reading, in an astro coaching strategy session, which is what I offer. Okay. So that's your 10th house. Your 11th house is your house of community, your house of organizations, your house of friendship, your house of love received. Okay. Am I allowing myself to receive love? So with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius, we want this to be the most authentic component. So if some of the friendships that you have, I don't care how long you've had them, it's my childhood friend, doesn't matter. Okay. If Pluto retrograding in your house and maybe just cross the threshold into your 10th house and maybe it's going to go back and then maybe it's going to come visit it again during this time, you are going to be cleaning up your friend circle. Are you going to be reconsidering what you call a friend? Okay, so what is a friend to you? We'll have to evaluate that, reconsider, revisit, maybe redefine. Maybe there's a new definition of friendship for you because now you've matured into something else. It's no longer the people I party with. Now it's the people that I can actually have real and deep conversations with. It's the people who love me exactly as I am, Bridget Jones style. It's the people who see me. I see you, right? See me. And it's your like, gosh, you're my person, Meredith Grey, or you complete me, okay? Uh, Mr. McGuire. And so you get to really dig deep in that. This is going to be the 5-month period for you, and maybe some friends will get to stay, some friends won't get to stay. This is a tribe. 11th house is tribe. Who is my tribe? Of course, by then, you have to have asked yourself all the questions from the first house. You have to know who you are. You're not going to know who your tribe is if you don't know who you are, because your tribe matches you. So dig deep. Who am I? Who's my tribe? Okay. Who do I want to call in as far as my tribe goes? This is your 11th house topics. It's also if I am the kind of person who is always giving, 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 giving love, and I don't allow myself to receive. And I think that that's altruistic. It might be, but it might not be. It might also be the case that you are on a default setting from your parents, from whatever culture, society you grew up in. And in that context, giving love was praised and receiving love wasn't. Okay. And so you get to train yourself, burn the blocks to that receiving of the love, because the receiving of the love is also a generosity thing. We're not just being generous with other people when we give, only when we give genuinely, okay? But we're also being generous with other people when we receive, because we give them a chance to be generous. And they're making the points in the energetics in the universe, okay? I give you a chance to help me. You help someone, fantastic. Now, the universe is like, oh, this person gave, we got to give them. So it's a switch in perspective, which is a lot of what we do in coaching, is really reframe things so that you can see them for the truth that they are. not for the belief that came from people who were hurt. Okay. 11th house. Your social circle, your friends, community, even if you belong to some volunteer, organization, some nonprofit or something, you're going to reevaluate your participation and all of that. Maybe this is a time when you start volunteering in something like that. Maybe this is a time when you start to ask yourself, am I really being authentic by being here and a part of this group? Okay. 11th house. Finally, the 12th house. Pluto in Aquarius retrograde in the 12th house. Pluto in the 12th house. Everyone says this is your subconscious, and it is, but I want you to understand it in a way more Jungian because eighth house of, naturally ruled by Scorpio is your personal subconscious space, okay? Your deep, deep seated stuff. 12th house is the collective subconscious, which we call the collective unconscious. So this is the stuff that we all have in common, that we're all agreeing to, that makes this realm what it is, because this reality is what it is because we all agree to the rules of the reality. Just like in any video game, just like in any reality. Okay. So this is where you're going to go, and we all have fears of certain things, right? Fear of failure was the common ones. Fear of failure, derivative, fear of success, fear of death, etc. Whatever this main six fears are, okay? These are all things we have in common that we share that are part of the construct, and we have to dig deep, and it's an opportunity for us to clean that up, not just for ourselves, but for the collective. This is house, the 12th house is, if it falls for you in the 12th house, you're like doing the Lord's work. I love saying that. You're doing the universe's work, Lord, God, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same energy. It's source energy, however you want to define it. You're doing it for all of us. So if you've been tasked with this at this time, thank you, because you're going to be cleaning up the grid for everybody. Um, you're going to feel like things that have been causing issue, but were buried so deep because they're so um, such a part of the natural collective that we have. Like it's normal to be afraid of, I don't know, a snake or death or something, right? It's probably most of the people who are not that we consider, oh my gosh, you must be psychotic if you're not scared to throw yourself off of whatever. Mm, we would consider that when Pluto is retrograding in the 12th house. We clean that up because the most normal thing for us as spirits is love, joy, peace, all those higher frequency vibrations. Fear is something we get to come and experience here, and we get to do things in spite of the fear. Okay, so you're going to clean that up. Any fears, any hidden things that you weren't seeing that you need to look at. If you have anything that is sabotaging you, but you can't see, and it's a secret and it's been held for a long time, bring it out, clean it up, burn it. You don't need it. Okay. And yeah, just a deep, deep, deep transformational, profound, collective, we're all one, right? One grid, one energy field affecting each other. What I do here, butterfly effect somewhere else, that's you in the 12th house. Okay. You deep, profound, transformational, metaphysical, spiritual healing, cleansing, purifying for everybody. Okay, what are those patterns? You get to identify what those are. Do your deep meditations. Get into, I love in the shower. You're really able to channel and to tune in and all this stuff. So whatever it is that does it for you to get into theta state and clean that up. Clean it up. Okay, that's what I have for you. This is Pluto retrograde through the houses. This period, May to October 2026. You can always book a session with me to read your chart. You can book a session with me to do single session coaching and do some shadow work, do some nervous system regulation, whatever it is to deal with your emotions, emotional mastery, skill up when it comes to emotions so that you can really move on the things that you learn from your chart, make those moves. This is where you learn, right? The astrology is where you learn about your things, your soul purpose, your ideal career, your ideal customer avatar, the way that you have been designed, that your soul chose to do the play the game, how it chose to play the game, what clothes it decided to put on, what kind of people are its people. That's where you have all that information. And of course, the cycle you're in. Okay, right now I'm in my, I don't know, second nodal return. I'm in my Uranus opposition, so that's midlife crisis. I get to reevaluate certain things. How are things hitting me up? How can I use this energy? And then the coaching allows you to process out, carry out, build, put into effect, make a reality, all of that information. This information gives way to this transformation. And this is where we just do it, and we do it together. Okay. So if that's what you want, all the links below are there for you. And I will say goodbye, send you all the love for this amazing 5-month period where you get to clean up your act somewhere and you get to burn all the stuff that doesn't work anymore, and you get to purify your system, yourself, your environment, whatever, wherever this falls, so that you can then move on, clean slate, and build based on something authentic, strong foundation, and really the truth, because that is what Aquarius is all about. And Pluto in Aquarius retrograde wants you to do that and go there. Okay, sending you all the love. I'll see you on the next video.